Hey everybody, and welcome to the new world creation menu for Minecraft 1.20. In the new snapshot, it's now broken into 3 different tabs. You have the game tab, where you name the world, choose the game mode, the difficulty, and whether or not to enable cheats. And now, rather than certain buttons opening up a submenu, whereas others would just toggle through various settings, you can go into a different tab, like the World tab, in order to set if you want it to be default, super flat, large biomes, amplified, single biome, back to default, set a seed, choose your structure and bonus chest options, and finally, this one, the More tab, I think is really, really cool because I don't actually know if there was a way to do this before, but you can go and set game rules in this nice fancy menu rather than having to type commands before you've even started the world. So you could scroll down a little bit and you could say, spawn phantoms off. And then you can start your world. And even if you've done it with cheats off, you're going to start a world with no phantoms spawning. And that's great. You can also go into data packs where you can enable all the additional 1.20 features for the snapshot by setting that over, hitting proceed, and you're good to go. But it's nice that you don't have to open any submenus anymore, and it's just all the settings in different tabs, and it's all there laid out in front of you. Well, I mean, okay, I guess it's a submenu for the game rules and the data packs, but it kind of makes sense given all the options there. But you get what I mean. All right, so now we're in a world that we created with the new menu system, and there's a lot more to show with the snapshot, starting with armor trims. I guess most of the stuff has to do with armor trims, actually, barring one just absolutely gigantic quality of life change, which we'll get to in just a moment. Anyway, I imagine one of the main requests last week was we'd like to be able to apply armor trims to leather armor, so your wish has been granted. Armor trim into the smithing table, and then you can add leather armor and whatever accent material you want. In this case, we're using quartz, and now we have a set of trimmed leather armor that we're wearing. Pretty cool. And we can now go through, and I'll just show you what it looks like in every different accent material. So this is all the Ward armor trim. I just thought I'd use the same one for consistency. This is with lapis, emerald, quartz, which is again what we're wearing, which is a different armor trim on us right now, iron, copper, not super contrasty, but you know, if you want something subtle, it blends in pretty well, redstone, diamond, gold, amethyst, and the biggest flex, I think there's a new one, perhaps over a netherite beacon, which is netherite trim on leather armor, which you can do, which is absolute insanity. But you know what? If you want to go for it, you can. And say you've already taken your netherite trimmed leather armor and you're like, oh God, I wanted it to be a different color. Am I completely ruined? No, you can actually dye it after the fact and it will retain the armor trim. So you're okay. It's not a disaster. And then I now have equipped in much better contrast, right? Like it looks, I think, better on yellow dyed leather armor than it does on the default leather armor, because now you can actually see that nice contrast from the netherite for our absolutely insane ultimate flex. Oh my goodness. Also though, if you're wondering why I have an elytra in my inventory, it's because I'd like to show you the greatest quality of life update perhaps ever that would have been immense for me to have in a UHC that I was playing in yesterday. And that is, I can now hot swap between, well, this doesn't really work very well if you're not in survival mode, but now I can hot swap between chestplate and elytra. So say you're, you know, PvPing someone or something like that. You got your elytra. You want to have the protection of your netherite chestplate or something. Okay, you switch, start swinging at them. Now you're equipped with, you know, you're swinging your sword. Oh, now you want to fly away. You equip that and you firework out, and you can dip out rather than having to go into your inventory and, you know, do the switch like that and then back again. And in that time, you're getting absolutely swung at by a mob or another player or something like that. So huge. Obviously, it's been a thing in mods for ages, and if you play mods, you're like, wasn't this always a thing? No, this is new now, and it's awesome. This also applies to other armor. It's not just an elytra chestplate thing, so I can hot swap out here between my different sets of trimmed leather armor, and then if I want to go back over here, then I can equip that. I can equip the elytra, switch it back, switch over here, It's just an easier way to be able to take armor on and off versus in the past it was if you didn't have any armor on, then you could right click to enable it. But after that, you would have to at least take off the piece before you'd be able to add something back. Okay, so Mojang or Microsoft, they seem to be really receptive to player feedback in this update. So in the last snapshot, if you had gold armor, say, you couldn't apply gold as a trim to that. It just wouldn't let you. But what you could do is you could take diamond armor, you could trim it with netherite, and then you could upgrade that armor to netherite, and you'd have netherite trimmed netherite armor. And apparently people actually liked the look of this. It looked different from just standard netherite. And so now you can actually apply trim of the same material type to that armor. So I can take this gold armor, and I can use gold ingots, and I can actually trim the whole thing. And now I can conveniently hot swap here because of the new feature of being able to do that with armor. So this is now gold trimmed gold armor, and you can see that there is a certain degree of contrast, even though it is the same trimming material. It just darkens it a little bit. So I actually think that the Vex armor trim is probably one of the best ones to use for the contrast of the same material type on the armor. So this is gold standard to compare with gold that's been trimmed in gold with the Vex armor trim template. Iron is very subtle, but again, I looked at a few different ones and I still came to the conclusion that the Vex seems to be a good one to go with. It does seem to have just like a better contrast than you get with some of the others, so you can compare the two side by side. Diamond, here's just standard diamond armor, and then you can see diamond armor again with the Vex armor trim template. And finally, I do think netherite actually looks really cool, and I saw specific comments on last week's snapshot saying that they had tried it doing the diamond netherite trim to then upgrading specifically with the Vex template, and that they really liked how it looked. It almost looks like it's got, I don't know, it's like a jacket. It's like you have a little a zip up on your armor or something like that. But anyway, you can do that now. But you can experiment with all the different armor trims and see which one you like. There's also been a bit more tweaking to the enchantment animation. It seems like what they've done is they've made it so there are periods of like pretty prominent purple shimmer, but also between that, there's some downtime where you just really get to see what the armor looks like on its own, unenchanted, so you get to see and appreciate the contrast from the armor trim. So I just used netherite and gold, which I think is my favorite combo, just to kind of illustrate, like there's the shimmer, but then you also, now you get downtime and you can see what it looks like, and then the shimmer will come back and you get that for a moment. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, and here's what it looks like as an item in your inventory, just so you get an idea there. There's been a lot of changes to the loot tables and the frequency at which you find the smithing templates, not just the armor trim, but also the netherite upgrades. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty because it's probably not going to be that interesting. You can check the changelog if you want, but just some specifics are when it comes to the dune armor trim, which you find in the desert temples, the coast armor trim in shipwrecks, the wild armor trim in jungle temples, and the sentry armor trim in pillager outposts. Now you're always going to find two of them, hopefully for real, not like I found two of the netherite upgrades in the treasure bastion last time, but you're supposed to find more of them, of these common variants. And then also netherite upgrades are supposed to be more common to find in bastions so that you don't have to feel like you have to spend 7 diamonds for every new one of the netherite upgrades. Finally, there's been a little new addition to potion effects, which is kind of cool. So in the past, if you wanted a potion effect to last for a really long time, like there are ways to do it, or you just type a really long number inside the command, but now you can actually just type infinite inside the command if you want the potion effect to last forever. So now we have absorption 6. And we see the little infinity logo underneath it inside of our inventory. It will last forever, or until I affect clear cap and sparkles, and now we don't have it anymore. But it's just, you know, easier. You don't have to do a workaround, and nice quality of life upgrade there for commands. All right, well, that's most of the main things for this snapshot. I feel like I want to equip my ultimate flex armor once again as we take us out. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video if you've enjoyed, subscribe to stay tuned for more updates and other stuff, and that's about it. I'll see you next time.